Hey guys, it's me, Tiana Jones, also known as Callie Faye, and we're back as we're getting into the Sustainable Development Goals. We're here for the Global Peace Sustainable Goals Day 13, Climate Change. I'm so excited for all the international speakers to be here because all nations come together to put this plan into effect. Our first international speaker today is Ambassador Estera. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you, dear Honorable Dr. Tiana Jones, honorable guest speakers, and dear audience, to our Global Peace Sustainable Development Goal 13, Climate Action. Let me share the screen, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Climate Action. The Global Peace Sustainable Development Summit 2023, Day 13. Yeah, as you can see in the 17 goals, today is number 13, Climate Action. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, adopted by all United Nations member states in 2015, provides a shared blueprint for peace and prosperity for people and the planet now and into the future. At its heart are the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, which are an urgent call for action by all countries, developed and developing, in a global partnership. They recognize that ending poverty and other deprivations must go hand in hand with strategies that improve health and education, reduce inequality, and spur economic growth, all the while tackling climate change and working to preserve our oceans and forests. According what Barack, former president of America, mentioned, Barack Obama, we are the first generation to feel the impact of climate change and the last generation that can do something about it. Indeed, we have to do something about it. We have to. We got no choice. If for us and also for our future generation. What are we going to do to protect the planet? Everybody talk about protecting planet for better life. Let's see. By 2030, an estimated 700 million people will be at risk of displacement by drought alone. Needless to say, other disasters, calamities, yeah, unemployment. Taking urgent action to combat climate change and its devastating impacts is therefore an imperative to save lives and livelihood. Why talking about climate change is important to us? What is climate change? Climate change refers to long-term shifts in temperatures and weather patterns. These shifts may be natural, such as variation in the solar cycle, but since 1800s, human activities have been the main driver of climate change. We are the culprit, primarily due to burning fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas. Burning fossil fuels generates greenhouse gas emission that act like a blanket wrapped around the earth, trapping the sun's heat and raising temperature. Examples of greenhouse gas emission that are causing climate change include carbon dioxide and methane. These come from using gasoline for driving a car or coal for heating a building. For example, cleaning land and forests can also release carbon dioxide. Landfills for garbage are a major source of methane emission, including the waste products we throw, the rotten food and all that. Energy industry, transport, buildings, agriculture, and land use are among the main emitters. Main causes of climate change are the greenhouse effect, increased temperature, changing of weather, and having health issues. Why climate change? The bright, if you can see here, this is the orange line. Okay, this is the North Pole. Let's say the bright surface of ice reflect 80% of the sunlight that hit back into space. This keeps the polar regions cool and moderates the global climate. When the area of sea ice is reduced, less sunlight is reflected back into space. This causes more ocean warming and reduces the sea ice even further and causing the sea level to rise. This feedback drives faster climate change. The orange line here on the picture marks the average minimum of sea ice coverage from 1981 to 2010. The white ice shows that the minimum sea ice coverage in 2020, the difference between the two exceeds 1 million miles. Why the climate change is important? Again, no matter how fast we act, the global temperature is set to continue rising as a result of greenhouse gases that are already in the atmosphere. The problems that we are already experiencing are going to worsen. Yeah, no matter how much we are going to do and how many people are involved in taking active action and how fast we are going to work on still depends on how much we reduce the causes of climate change and disasters. Acting quickly to keep the temperature rise to minimum is extremely important for human and wildlife. Who causes the climate change? The 50 least developed countries are thought to have contributed 1% of the greenhouse gases that have caused global warming. The US, Europe, and China alone having contributed about 60%. Can you see, if you see this diagram? Okay, this is Africa, this is South America, and this is, I cannot see what is that. It's not so clear. So, yeah, but this is all third world countries. So you can see how much, how much do we, mankind, have caused disasters to our own planet. Who does climate change affect? Who is affected? People are experiencing climate change in diverse ways. Climate change can affect our health, ability to grow food, housing, safety, and work. Some of us are already more vulnerable to climate impacts, such as people living in small island nations and other developing countries. Conditions like sea level rise and saltwater intrusion have advanced to a point where whole communities have had to relocate, and protracted droughts are putting people at risk of famine. In future, the number of climate refugees is expected to rise. People moving from one place to another place, a safer place for shelter, food, to enjoy better climate. All this is going to take place. Negative impacts of climate change. You can see different temperature scenarios for coral reefs. Sea level will rise 30 to 60 cm by 2100. Drought estimated displace 700 million people to 2030. Medium to large scale of disasters will increase 40% from 2015 to 30. Of course, these are few remedies. There are so many because of time constraint. I just share this few. Okay, I think we go to the next. This is not so okay. Here they're asking you to switch to electrical vehicle, which I think is not a complete solution, but just to improve from using fossil fuels and all that. Okay, they suggest that we use electric cars. Okay, electric charge cars. Speak up. So when we have problem, we have to speak up, get others to join in taking action. It's one of the quickest and most effective ways to make difference. Talk to your neighbors, colleagues, friends, family. Let business owners know you support bold changes. Appeal to local and world leaders to act now. Climate action is a task for all of us, and it concerns all of us. No one can do it all alone, but we all can do it together. So we have to explore ideas. And what is our contribution? Individual contribution here is even small actions can make a huge difference. Using reusable bags when shopping helps reduce pollution from plastic bags. So say no to plastic bags. Turning off lights when you aren't in the room. Save energy. Try to sleep without air condition, or cool the room first with air condition and use fan later. Use public transportation. Cut down on fuel emission by taking public transport or carpool to work or school on etc. Carpooling with friends is another way to cut down on fuel emission and reduce traffic jam and air pollution. Climate action, what is this? What is climate action? Climate action includes mitigation climate change, helping to cut greenhouse emissions, adapting to impact of climate change by building resilience to phenomena such as flooding, droughts, and other extreme weather events, contributing to understanding and causes of climate change. There are so many steps in the worldwide, but here are three which discussed. What are the solutions? Paris Agreement, renewable energy source, planting trees. Okay. In 2015, at COP21 in Paris, the nations signed an agreement that set out an ambitious plan to tackle climate change. In Paris Agreement, nations agreed to act together to restrict global temperature increase to 2 degrees Celsius and begin efforts to limit warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. To do this, we need to reach net zero by 2050. This means that the carbon emission will still need to be balanced, removing carbon dioxide from the air. Okay. This global temperature is changing, so pre-industrial level and glaciers melting and sea level rising, we should also focus on this. Impact on climate change includes flooding, drought, displacing millions of people due to hunger, due to war, sinking them into poverty and hunger, denying them of the access of basic needs like health, services, education, expanding inequalities, stifling the economic growth, and even causing conflict. By 2030, an estimated about 700 million people will be at risk of displacement, as I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation. In 2020, concentration of global greenhouse gases reached new highs, and real data point to continue increases. As this concentration rise, so does the Earth temperature. In 2021, the global mean temperature was about 1.1 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial level from 1850 to 1900. The year from 2015 to 2021 were the 7 warmest on the record. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you for your attention.
Wow, thank you. Very impressive. And if you would like to get another award, please email your presentation for today, because we do give extra awards for the people that send us their PowerPoint presentations. Thank you so much. Thank you. Our next international speaker is Ambassador Dr. Piyush Raja. Welcome.
Thank you. Namaste from India to all. Let me share the screen. Tiana. Is my screen is visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. Namaste to all. Myself is Piyush from Roorkee, India. My paper topic name is Assessing Progress Towards SDG Goal 13, Climate Action. These are the outline of my paper: abstract, introduction, challenges in implementing climate action, solution and policy recommendation, conclusion, and then references. The abstract of my paper: this research paper examines the progress made towards achieving Sustainable Development Goal 13, SDG 13, climate action. It provides Goal 13, climate action. It provides an overview of the goals, targets, and indicates established under SDG 13 and evaluate the global efforts to mitigate climate change and its impact. The introduction part: climate change is one of the most pressing challenges of our time. We all know SDG 13 recognize the urgent need to limit global warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, and to pursue effects to limit the temperature increase to 1.5 degrees Celsius. It emphasizes the importance of adapting to the adverse effects of climate change and the fostering at both global and local levels. The goals also highlighting the need for mobilizing financial resources, enhancing capacity, building initiative, and promoting effective climate progress. We all seen daily global warming effect and all that. Under SDG 13, several targets are indicators have been established to guide the measure progress. These include mitigating greenhouse gas emission, enhancing resilience and adaptive capacity, promoting climate-related education and awareness, and mobilizing financial resources and the climate action. The achievement of SDG 13 is closely linked to SDG as climate change. By taking concentrated action on climate change and promoting climate-related education and awareness and mobilizing the financial resources for climate action. This research paper aims to assess the progress made towards achieving SDG 13 climate action. It will evaluate it will evaluate global effort in mitigating climate change and adapting to its impact, considering the success, challenges, and opportunities. These are the challenges you can see. First of all, the challenges is political challenges. lack of political will. In political challenges, the first one is lack of political will. Implementing climate action requires a strong political commitment at the national and international levels. However, political will can vary, and some government may prioritize short-term economic consideration over long-term sustainability goals. The second one in political challenges, limited international cooperation. Climate change is a global issue that requires collaborative efforts among the nation. Disagreements and conflicts of interest can hinder effective international cooperation, making it challenging to reach consequences on ambitious climate action measures. The second one is financial challenges. In financial challenges, the first one is insufficient funding. The scale of climate action required to address climate change is substantial, but financial resources dedicated to climate-related initiative often fall short. Mobilizing adequate funding for climate mitigation, adoption, and technology transfer remains a significant challenge, particularly for developing countries with the limited financial capacity. The second one is in investment barriers. Private sector investment in climate-friendly technology and project can be hindered by a lack of clear incentives, high upfront cost, and the pre-received risk. Overcoming investment barriers and creating favorable conditions for climate-friendly investment is essential but can be challenging. The third one is technological challenges. In technological challenges, the first one is technological readiness and accessibility. Implementing climate action often relies on the availability and accessibility of the appropriate technology for renewable energy generation, energy efficient, and carbon capture and storage. However, the deployment of these technology can be impeded by technology barriers, limited access to clean energy technologies, and inefficient technological capacity in developing countries. The second one in technological challenges is research and development gaps. Continued research and development R&D are needed to advance in a innovative climate solution. However, insufficient investment in research and development, particularly in developing countries, can limit technological advances and hinder progress in climate action. The fourth one is social and behavior challenges. In social and behavior challenges, the first one is public awareness and engagement. Climate action requires collective action and behavioral changes at the individual and community levels. However, limited public awareness and understanding the climate changing issues can hinder support for the participation in climate action initiative. The second one in social and behavioral changes is social and cultural barriers. Climate action measures can sometimes face resistance or cultural barriers, particularly when the disrupt established practices or industries. The last challenge is data and monitoring challenge. The first one is data availability and quality. Robust data and information are necessary to evidence-based decision making and monitoring progress towards climate action goals. However, data gaps, inconsistent methodologies, and limited data collection capacity in some region can accurate monitoring and evaluation of climate action efforts. The second in data and monitoring challenges is monitoring and reporting framework. Developing comprehensive and standardized monitoring and reporting frameworks for climate action can be complex. Given the diverse nature of climate related activities and policies, establishing effective monitoring system and ensuring transparency and accountability are ongoing challenges. These are the solution. First one is strengthening political will and international cooperation. And second one is mobilizing financial resources because Tiana has messaged that 6 minutes and for PPT presentation, it is 10 minutes. So I have many things to share about this, but I have just point out this. Third one is advancing technological innovation. Fourth one is enhancing public awareness and engagement. And last one is improving data and monitoring system. It is more important, so I discussed it. In improving data and monitoring system, first one in enhanced data collection and quality. National capacities for collecting, analyzing, and reporting climate-related data, improve data sharing and transparency, and promote the use of standardized methodology for monitoring and reporting the climate action process. The second one is develop robust and monitoring and evaluation frameworks. Establish comprehensive and monitoring the evaluation frameworks that capture the impacts of climate action initiative. Ensure accountability through regular reporting and review process. This solution and the policy recommendation provide a starting point for accelerating progress towards SDG goal 13. However, it is important to tailor approaches to specific national contexts, considering unique challenges, priorities, and capacities. This is the conclusion part of my paper, the progress towards achieving sustainable development goal SDG 13. Climate action is crucial for addressing the urgent challenges posed by climate change. This research paper has examined the goals, target, and indicators established under SDG 13 and evaluated the global efforts in mitigating climate change and adapting to its impact. Throughout the analysis, several key findings have emerged. So I have not discussed many things because the length of paper is very long. Firstly, it is evident that climate change is a complex and multifaceted issue that requires collective action from government, civil society, and public sector and individuals. Financial challenges are also pose significant obstacles to climate action. Technological innovation plays a vital role in advancing climate action. However, technological challenges such as limited accessibility and clean energy technology and research to develop a research gap need to be addressed. These are the references I have prepared this paper through these references. Thank you. Thank you all for listening me.
Wow, always impressive. And the solution behind the issue. I really like that. And of course, you put all the references. So you are on point. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I loved it.
Thank you. Namaste. Thank you.
Namaste. Our next international speaker is Raymond Banzola. Welcome.
Okay, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
All right, a blessed and pleasant day to everyone. So, my name is Raymond from the Philippines in Mabuhay. So now we are on the 13th day of our summit about the global peace and sustainable development goals. And it has to do with taking urgent action to combat climate change and its impact. So, climate change has a significant impact on every country and continent, disrupting national economies and affecting human lives as these patterns change the sea levels and its rise and events become more intense over time. As a result, the SDGs aims to strengthen all countries' resilience and adaptive capacity to climate-related hazard and natural disasters, integrate climate change measures and international policy strategies, and plan to raise awareness through education. So, raising human and institutional capacity for climate change mitigation, adaptation, impact reduction, and early warning, and implementing the commitment made by developed country parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change to mobilize $100 billion annually by 2020 from all sources to address the needs of developing countries in the context of meaningful mitigation actions and transparency on implementation, and fully implementing the commitment made by developed country parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. So, promote mechanism for increasing capacity for effective climate change related planning and management. It is in least developed countries and small island developing state with a focus on women, youth, and local marginalized communities, while acknowledging that the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change is their primary international or intergovernmental forum for negotiating the global response to climate change. And now that we all know how it is started, and human activities ranging from the pollution to overpopulation are driving up the Earth's temperature, and the United Nations has warned that the world is on a disastrous path to a hotter planet, claiming that countries are simply not doing enough um, to reduce emissions, and calls for authorities to declare a climate emergency are mounting, including here in the Philippines. So, Korea is still recovering from the aftermath of widespread extreme weather condition in the United States and a heat wave in a Siberian Arctic. And this year is clear evidence of climate change, and the record high temperatures in Siberia will be impossible without man-made global warfare. And based on the refusal of several world's world power to recognize the findings of a report. So I can't imagine what our lives might look like in the future if these unfortunate events continue. And as we all know, global climate change has already had an impact on the ecosystem. The glaciers have shrunk, frozen rivers and lakes have melted, plant and animal ranges have shifted, and trees have begun to bloom earlier. So global climate change is having the effects the scientists projected it would have in the past. The sea ice loss increase, sea level rise, and longer, more extreme heat waves are all possibilities. And right now in our country, we are experiencing an almost 50 degrees Celsius heat index, which is extremely difficult for us. And as a result, plenty of cases of heat stroke have been reported. As a result of this, the Natural Disaster and Risk Reduction Management always issues an advisory and advises everyone not to leave the house between the hours of 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. And that is why our poor countrymen are more miserable here, particularly those who work in the fields or in the construction all day. And according to the Global Climate Risk Index, the Philippines is one of the top 5 countries most affected by the climate change. An ASEAN Development Plan study estimated that by 2100 year, the average cost of climate change to the country would be losing 6% of each gross domestic product each year, and which is more than twice the global average loss in 2014. And based on the extensive scientific evidence, 97% of the climate scientists believe that human activities, particularly greenhouse gas emissions, are the primary cause of the observed warming since the mid 20th century. And there are no alternative explanations supported by evidence. So now, what are the other sustainable goals, development goals that are related with climate action? This includes the SDG 15 and 14, which rely on land and life below water due to climate change. Oceans are getting warmer to the point where marine animals can survive the heat. There are viral species who cannot adapt to the burning temperature, leaving them to their deaths at most. It may cause extinction to their population. And then furthermore, the oceans are becoming more acidic. If the ocean's pH level continues to decrease, marine organisms such as shellfish will mostly perish. They become more fragile, making predators easier to eat. And this is primarily caused by the increased carbon dioxide levels in the air as a result of human-caused environmental damage, such as the use of fossil fuels. And then strong storm also devastate marine life as they disrupt the animals' existence and environment. And their habitats change as a result of the damage caused by the calamity. And sometimes it is beyond restoration, threatening their survival. Life on land, on the other hand, refers to the alarming change brought about by the negligence of human living on Earth. And we humans have to take responsibility for what is happening in our world right now because we continue to overconsume everything. As a result, severe consequences are returning to us, and we are experiencing severe storms as a result of climate change. Sorry. According to the studies, the strength of storm when they hit land has increased by 100% in the last 20 years. As I mentioned in our last meeting, I think it is SDG 8. I have just recently experienced some typhoons that never happened in the Philippines before. And as I talk about in 2013, the Typhoon Yolanda, also known as Haiyan, an international name in Japan, surprised not only the Philippines but the entire world. The storm caused massive destruction and killed thousands of people. So consider this typhoon reaching 290 km per hour with sustained winds reaching 310 km per hour, and it's really unbelievable. So we are experience more natural disasters such as frequent landslide, more serious droughts, and very unpredictable rainfall pattern. This news is suddenly right. So, what are some ways of which you can lessen the impact of climate change? Now, you might be wondering, uh, can we make a change even if we just an individual? Will there be a difference? The answer is yes, of course. And here are some of the ways which we can lessen the impact of climate change. Number one, use energy wisely. Training our appliances will not significantly increase fuel consumption. And number two, eat more drinks. Let's eat less meat and focus on drinking more organic food supplies. Better yet, you can grow your own fruits and veggies from your own garden. Number three, clean your comfort to lessen our carbon footprints. You might want to consider taking up public vehicles instead of taking yourself riding private because better yet, you can use your own vehicle if your destination is just within the area. Number four, um, for the household, you might want to consider using solar appliances. Solar appliances save so much in energy and they can also let's be politically active and bold the best way in which we can take immediate action on climate change. So, another in the Philippines Biodiversity Conservation uh, Foundation, the protection of the country's wildlife is the main advocacy of this organization so far, and they have soon in different islands in the country, both in rural and urban areas worldwide, Pan for Nature Philippines. It is the world's largest conservation organization that operates in over 100 countries, including uh, Philippines. And their specific mission is to reserve the vast degradation of our environment by promoting use of sustainable energy. So that's the end of my presentation. Once again, thank you very much, Dr. Tiana, for this opportunity.
Thank you. Wow, very informational and informative. I really appreciate all that knowledge and information of data. You are always bringing something amazing to us. Thank you again for joining. Our next international speaker is Caleb Timlin Samuel. Welcome.
Good evening from here. Thank you very much. Thank you, distinguished guest. Thank you, leaders. Today, I'll be talking about the UN SDG Goal 13 of climate action. The purpose of climate action is for the safety of the environment. It's for the safety of life and everything that is within the environment so that we can have something to live upon. When we do not consider the reduction and all those causes of climate change, then we will not live a life of sustainability. As we all know, climate justice is gender justice. Climate justice cut across UNSDG Goal 5 of gender equality, and cut across the UNSDG Goal 1 of no poverty, and Goal 2, hunger, and also Goal 3, and also Goal 7, and also Goal 7 of clean energy. It is the battle that we've been fighting for a very long time. And what are we actually doing to make sure that we win this battle of climate change? if we are not doing the right thing, are we now going to take a U-turn to make sure that we implement the best strategies that will enable us to combat this climate change? The world is on the brink of a climate catastrophe, and current actions and plans to address the crisis are insufficient. Without transformative action, starting now within this decade to reduce greenhouse gas emissions deeply and rapidly in all sectors, the 1.5-degree target will be at risk, and with it, the lives of more than 3 billion people too. Failure to act leads to intensifying heat waves, drought, flooding, wildfires, sea level rise, and famines. Emissions should also be decreasing now, and it will need to be cut almost by half by 2030, a mere 7 years from now, to meet up with the climate change strategies or not. So in order to combat climate change and its impact by 2030, there must be urgent and transformative action to meet the commitment under the Paris Agreement across mitigation and also the adaptation strategy. When we talk about climate mitigation, what does it mean? It is trying to talk about a reduction in greenhouse gas emission so that this climate change catastrophe, so that there will be reduction in greenhouse gas emission that will not lead to climate change disaster. So what are these mitigation strategies? Mitigation strategies include retrofitting buildings to make them more energy efficient. And also it's also about adopting renewable energy, such as the sources like solar, wind, and small hydro. So this is to see that it also cuts across clean energy. While we talk about the access to energy, also it is also about clean, to make it clean so that we will not have the experience of climate change. And also it is also about helping cities develop more sustainable transport, such as bus rapid transit, electric vehicles, and biofuels, and also promoting more sustainable use of land. So those are the mitigation strategies that we are talking about. I have also thought about this. In as much as we are trying to push for to have a renewable energy and clean energy, also it is a reasonable approach. But then I got the facts from Greenpeace, which is stating that even hydro dams that we term as a renewable energy, they emit methane that causes this climate change. So this is how I got to know that even the renewable energy we are talking about, it is not that it is not environmentally friendly to some larger extent, but in totality, it's still in one way or the other emit methane, which causes this climate change that we are talking about today. So also, while we also talk about climate adaptation, it is about adapting to current climate situations. What are we putting in place to make sure that we adapt to this climate? So it is just like a process of adjusting to current or expected effects of climate change. Also, so that is also very, very important to be put into consideration. So what are the 4 components of this climate adaptation that I'm trying to stress on? I'm trying to talk about critical, structural, personal, and co-generative. And also when it comes to the practical aspect of ecosystem restoration. The ecosystem is also very, very important for us. We should not just pay less attention to it, because these are the key component things that are very, very important to us. So we need to restore them back. It's part of the adaptive strategy that we are talking about. So it is also about protecting the coastal wetlands. It is also very important that we protect our coastal wetland, so that it will not have a great adverse effect on us, because we all know that this climate change it causes a whole lot of social inequality, social inequalities. So and we all know that whenever we are fighting for social justice, it is also about climate justice and environmental justice. So and also whenever we are talking about climate justice, so you cannot talk about social justice when you will not talk about environmental justice. So all these things go hand in hand. They are very important for our survival on this planet. So I have a statistic for us from the United Nations to see how far we've been able to move and progress. The number of deaths and missing persons due to disasters per 100,000 population has steadily decreased from 1.64 during 2005 to 2015 to 0.86 during 2012 to 2021. The average disaster mortality stood at 47,337 in absolute terms in 2015 to 2021. However, the number of persons affected by disasters per 100,000 people rose from 1,198 during 2005 to 2015 to 2,113 during 2012 to 2021. The number of countries with national strategies for disaster risk reduction has increased from 55 in 2015 to 126 by the end of 2021. Based on these, a total of 118 countries have reported having some level of policy coherence with other global frameworks, such as the 2030 Agenda and the Paris Agreement. I will also put this together with it. An analysis of 100 national curriculum frameworks reveals that nearly half, 47%, do not mention climate change. In 2021, despite 95% of teachers recognizing the importance of teaching about climate change severity, only one third are capable of effectively explaining its effects in their region. Additional 70% of young people can only describe the broad principle of climate change in 2022. So this also occurs across the countries in Africa. Only few persons know about climate change. Education plays a very important role to make sure that we put necessary strategies in place to combat this climate change and also adapt to this climate change. Education plays a very vital role in the life of man, and climate change, promotion of climate change can be used also as per in education. So also here in Africa, only few people know about the climate change, although there have been some international organizations and non-profit organizations that are trying their best here in Africa to make sure that people are educated about climate change. But then it is not enough. More is still to be done. Climate change advocacy is very, very important so that we can all combat this all together. And this will also, when it comes to capacity skill, building skill, it should also we should also involve our women. That is why it is said climate justice is social justice. The women should also be included into the education strategy so that more strategy and skills can come in place, especially when it comes to climate change combating. The global temperatures have already hit 1.1 degrees Celsius, rising due to increasing global greenhouse gas emissions, which reached record highs in 2021. Real-time data from 2022 show emissions continuing an upward trajectory. Instead of decreasing emissions as required by the target to limit warming, carbon dioxide levels increased from 2020 to 2021 at a rate higher than the average annual growth rate of the last decade, and is already 149% higher than pre-industrial levels. projected cumulative future carbon dioxide emissions over the lifetime of existing and currently planned fossil fuel infrastructure exceeds the total cumulative net carbon dioxide emission in pathways that limit warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius, which is less than 50% with no unlimited overshoot. Also yesterday, I was trying to talk about fossil fuel development. These are the major contributor of greenhouse gas emission into the Earth atmosphere. If the world is very sincere about this climate change, they should also stop the development of fossil fuels, especially on the African continent. Yesterday, I stressed on the fact that most of these companies are headquartered in Europe and they pump billions of dollars on fossil fuel development. So when all these fossil fuel development are being erected, aside from the climate consequences, it also it also destroys biodiversity. And also when you look at a lot of natural resources such as water, which is a free gift of nature, some persons are fishermen. So most of all this chemical waste, all this oil spillage, it flows into the river and it affects the flora and fauna of that region. So if we are too sincere about the climate change, the world should put the hands together to make sure that fossil fuel development is totally decommissioned. So when it is decommissioned, we all have a very good environment to live in. So also, and in conclusion, I would like to, sorry. I would like to briefly talk about the progress of the Nigerian government to make sure that we combat this climate change. Are they driving towards a true climate strategies to be implemented to combat climate change, or maybe they are doing otherwise? So the policy of the federal government of Nigeria contained in the Sustainable Development Goal National Review document that will greatly impact the Sustainable Development Goal 13 goal is the policy on environmental sustainability, which has been articulated in Section 5.6 of the Nigerian Economic Recovery and Growth Plan with 5 stated objectives. These are promoting sustainable management of natural resources, addressing several land degradation and desertification issues, attracting financing for projects on sustainable development, reducing gas flaring by 2% points every year so that it is eliminated, and as well as installing an additional 3,000 megawatt of solar systems over a period of 4 years, beginning in 2018. However, the COVID-19 pandemic may have distorted and slowed down the process of achieving some of these goals. So part of their strategies put in place to make sure that this is attained is the increasing number of households transiting from kerosene to cooking gas. That is the liquefied natural gas to 20% from the present value, and also increasing the number of households replacing kerosene lanterns with solar lamps by 20%, and also implementing projects under the country's Great Green Wall Initiative to address land degradation and desertification and supporting communities adapting to climate change. That is example of that is planting trees. And also they also implemented environmental initiatives in the Niger Delta region of the country by continuing in the cleanup of those areas that have been affected by fossil fuel development and a reduction in gas flaring. And also the raising green bond to finance environmental projects and also establishing one forest plantation in each state of the federation. So if we are to combat this climate change, it's very important that we are sincere about it so that we can all have a very wonderful life. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you. And thank you for representing Nigeria and your continent. And we are really, really grateful that you have that knowledge and all the information for us. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Our next international speaker is Professor Nada Rakovic.
Greetings from Croatia. Honored to be here on this 13th day. I want to share my presentation. Thank you, Tatiana. Thank you. Thanks to all the dignitaries here presented and great speeches and presentation. So my topic today is getting getting climate ready. So many projects in this SDG 13 here, because in Europe we are doing the e-twinning project. So 2021 was the year of climate actions and climate changes. So let us see. So you see here also I'm in a group called Statistics at Schools, and we have so many webinars on that topic. Coming from Sin, Croatia. See, this is the map of my town, my school, and starting from this, already we hear a lot about the climate changes. What are the climate changes? We know that if somebody asks the easiest and the simplest definition, we will say that something that really is not normal. Everybody of us feel that. Everybody feel of us all the changes in the temperature and etc. And when somebody asks me, you know what I say? Now we are in the month May. But I think that we could turn back a whole month. We could turn back a whole month, and now would need to be April. So we see how these climate changes are affecting us. All these green gases, all this methane, all this carbon dioxide. I said we need a circular economy. We need to make this zero waste. Here are some sequences on the global level, affecting all the regions, everything, wildlife, human health, the rising seas, we see melting ice. Here in the Mediterranean Sea, that becomes drier. I didn't believe that so many costs for society and for the developing country. If you look and if you talk about my country, in my country also, generally on the flora and fauna, we feel that we have this vulnerability. Then the variability in the climate, that really we feel that, we see that, the temperature, precipitation, all. Now we started one project. We are measuring the quality of the air in our schools. So we see the changes day by day, and all the humans are feeling this, and all this climate and all this temperature, burning fossil fuels, cutting down rainforests, farming livestock. So these are all, and you know what our grandmothers and grandfathers are saying. I said an interview, and they say as temperatures get earlier in the spring and survive longer into the fall, some animals are waking from the hibernation sooner or migrating at different times too. Significant variations in weather and water temperatures, they have a negative impact on the ecosystem, public health. So many chronic diseases we have new, and then this changes in the epidemiology. That says our grandfathers and grandparents. So in my country, we have hot and dry summer days. Winter months, temperatures can be very low. So here are two pictures. Pictures of the average temperature. And here in another, we see and we are talking about the submediterranean climate. Here we have for the air quality. I already mentioned that we are doing this, but here you can choose, you can use this digital tool and automatically measure in now where you are in your town. So here in my town, it is now good. What researchers show that effects of climate changes on the local level here. This is my country. These are our counties. We see what's happening. We have in Dalmatia a hot summer, Mediterranean climate. Then it is changing to the humid summers and mild to cool winters. Then we have this wind. So this we need to monitor. And big changes from the 20th to the 21st century. Here are chosen biggest town in my country. And we see the big difference. Average temperature in the 20th century, this is the violet color. And this green is in the 21st century. So many, so many changes. Then if we watch per day, here the difference is more visible if we are looking on this day. Number of days which refer to the days per year and their values. Here are the average temperature in 20th century, and now you see what is happening in 21st century. That is with the hot days. Also, hot days, we didn't have this number of the hot days. So we didn't, now it is for us a big shock. It is a big shock for us, this changes of the temperature. Today is sun, hot, then rain and cold. So for us, for our organism, it is not good. We have this climate change index, and this is the achievements by the country in 2022. Here I put it whole Europe. So we see in the Sweden, we have a big difference between France and Sweden. France has 60% and Sweden has this 76. So that is also from country to country, a big, big difference. We now come to the risks and the consequences. We know what are the risks and we know what are the consequences. We hear a lot about this today. So let us move, let us take care about our forests. This is in my town nearby me, and here I put this. We have climate action in the middle. If we talk about the climate action, we always need to, especially if we are educating our students and if we are involved in the projects. I know that here almost European are involved in the climate action project. That is the biggest project to say on the world, where 10 Timmenses every year, millions of students and educators are participating in that project. So we need to know effects, causes, and after that, what are the climate changes, and what is the what it goes to the flora fauna, and how to make this. We say plant a tree, but that is not only plant a tree. Prevention are renewable energies. Going to the solar, wind, geothermal, biomass could be the solution. Sustainable transportation is also a big solution. Reducing the carbon footprint, that is necessary. Then we need to solve this air pollution, greenhouse effect, noise pollution, electromagnetic pollution. So everything needs to go green. Everything needs to go green. And what can we do? We can do this. We can move from cars on the bike. That is the simplest way. How can we make changes, and how can we help in this? Prevention also. So everything has the causes. We need to look separately to air pollution. We know that we have causes of air pollution and what are the effects of air pollution. So if we have so many emissions and industry facilities, and if we don't breathe clear, fresh air, we know that we will have the health problems. Also, like example, London, so many smoke. London has so many smoke. So in these large cities, this is a big problem. If we talk about this solution to reduce, we can make reduce waste, friendly technologies, switch to the renewable energy, and again, we come to the circular economy, reduce, reuse, recycle, everything, and has a big significantly, it is a big, we can say a big significance. So smarter using, recovering, and reuse all the materials. Yesterday, we already talked about this when we were on the SDG 12, but now we come to the main problem according to the SDG 13. Waste management and recycle, that needs to be a habit, that needs to be something normal today. Making this all. Sea and ocean preservation. Yes, green gas houses supporting the life on the planet, but also the life under the water. Life under the water is also affected with this. So we need education to climate change, and we need to know that time is running and we should not wait. We must act quickly. So make international education, make team in your school, make a big climate action team, coordinate all the steps, make this, take action, collect data, motivate all. You know that we always have somebody who don't like to work. So planning, action, and reflection. That is the way how can we do this. So we have here, we need to teach critical thinking skills, creative thinking skills, and what are the future thinking skills? Desirable future, long-term effects, applying these principles and everything of this. In every field of education, in every subject, in statistics, in math, in language, in literature, science, technology, especially in the vet, there are so many ways how can we teach climate change, how can we teach in every subject. So you see in literature, write poems and stories and make photos and videos about climate change. Very easy. Or you can investigate to make this new patents. So there are so many new innovations what students are doing to make and to save our planet Earth. So we need to learn and empower our students about the action, through the action, and from action. How possible ways to model climate action through all these topics, through energy, through health, through well-being, through nature, biodiversity. We need to buy responsible consumption products made on farms, plantations, factories. So that could be responsible for our health, for our labor, turn our lights, computers, electronics. So plant trees, plant flowers, plant fruits, serve healthy organic. So many things. And so somebody cannot say, I don't have a topic, I don't know where can I do this, where will I put this in my subject. Every lecture what you are doing, any subject, you can talk about this, and if you put alone a little part of this, you already make something big. So little waste, transport water, with your school. There are so many options. Do projects with the families, with other schools, with neighborhood association, local business farms, plantations, media, environment groups, local groups, UNESCO. You know You can do this with UNESCO. In any time you can contact United Nations, UNESCO, or anybody. So we come here. Here are some examples. Climate action. I put this all, but every year I have in 2022 also, but I didn't change it. It's not important. It's important to say how to be involved. There are some. There's some interactive lessons, lectures with students from Poland. We do this from students from everywhere, from every country. We make so many solutions. You see machines, you see everything we do. Collective exchange. So like example, in my country with my colleagues, this was with Australia. We make with Australia, the students. This is for the climate action, planting the trees in our school park, doing so many actions. So for the greener tomorrow, collecting. This is that project, Breathe Deeply, Think Clearly. This was also one project where we have our partners from Turkey, from Portugal, from Italy, from Spain, from Macedonia, and we all work on this. We wanted to raise awareness and importance of sustainable development and educate our students about the global and local problems. When you do this kind of projects, after you can also apply for Erasmus project and then go to another country to learn something new. So here are global goals projects. So thank you for your attention. Ada can talk till tomorrow, but I will stop here. Thank you.
Very, 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 very amazing that you're doing all of those things with your students. You're getting hands-on with the issues, and you guys are making solutions. I mean, you're even growing trees. That's so amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. Our next international speaker is Professor Richa Ranjan. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. So today I'm going to speak on SDG Goal 13, Sustainable Development Goal 13. It urges to take action to combat climate change and its impacts. Climate change is now affecting every country on every continent. It is disrupting national economies and affecting lives, costing people, communities, and countries dearly today and even more tomorrow. SDG 13 focuses on the need to adopt urgent measures to stop climate change, which is affecting every country in the world. Among these measures, we can highlight improving resilience and capacity to adapt to climate-related risks, which includes actions regarding climate change in governments, policies, and strategies. Affordable and clean energy can help achieve the Sustainable Development Goal 13, and ensuring universal access to affordable electricity by 2030. It means investing in clean energy sources such as solar, wind, and thermal. Adopting cost-effective standards for a wider range of technologies could also reduce the global electricity consumption by buildings and industry by 14%. And what India is doing, India is already having so much of issues regarding this. Environmental issues in India are there: degrading air quality index, rampant environmental degradation, loss of biodiversity, urbanization in Himalayas, loss of resilience in ecosystems, lack of waste management, depletion of resources. I have just spoke about a brief problem which we Indians are facing, and regarding the globalized problem, we all have listened much from you, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we need to know what issues all countries are facing, even your country. Thank you so much again. Our next international guest speaker is Maya Jaspajli. Welcome.
Greetings from Georgia. I am Maya, a teacher tutor. Today I will address a crucial topic that affects the entire world, Sustainable Development Goal 13, climate action. As we all know, climate change poses a significant threat to our planet and the well-being of future generations. Sustainable Development Goal 13 focuses on taking urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts. In Georgia, the government and various stakeholders have been working to address these goals through a range of initiatives. Here are some actions that have been taken to others that are planned. Climate change policy. Georgia has developed a national adaptation plan to address climate change impacts. The plan includes strategies to enhance resilience, promote sustainable development, and reduce vulnerability to climate change. Renewable energy. Georgia has made progress in promoting renewable energy sources. Excuse me. The country has a significant potential for hydropower, and investments have been made in hydroelectric power plants. Additionally, Georgia is exploring opportunities for solar and wind energy projects. Energy efficiency. Improving energy efficiency is a crucial aspect of combating climate change. Georgia has implemented energy efficiency programs such as the Energy Efficiency and Clean Energy Program, which focuses on reducing energy consumption in buildings and promoting energy efficient technologies. Forest conservation is also important. Georgia has undertaken efforts to protect and restore its forests, recognizing their importance in carbon sequestration and biodiversity conservation. Programs like the reducing emissions from deforestation and forest degradation aim to promote sustainable forest management and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Climate education and awareness is important also. The government of Georgia has been working to raise awareness about climate change and its impacts. Educational campaigns and initiatives have been launched to promote climate literacy and encourage sustainable practices among population. International cooperation. Georgia actively participates in international initiatives and agreements related to climate change. The country is signatory to the Paris Agreement and is committed to its goals of reducing greenhouse gas emissions and adapting to climate change impacts. Future plans and ongoing efforts in Georgia include strengthening resilience. Georgia aims to enhance its resilience to climate change impacts by implementing adaptation measures in sectors such as agriculture, water resources management, and infrastructure development. Green economy transition. The country plans to promote a green economy by encouraging sustainable business practices and supporting the growth of green industries. This transition can contribute to climate change mitigation and sustainable development. Climate finance. Georgia is exploring avenues for climate finance to support its climate change initiatives. This involves seeking financial resources from international funds, bilateral partnerships, and private sector investments to implement climate-related projects. Disaster risks reduction. Given the increasing frequency and intensity of extreme weather events, Georgia is focusing on disaster risks reduction measures to minimize the impacts of climate-related disasters. This includes improving early warning systems, emergency response mechanisms, and infrastructure resilience. It's important to know that specific actions and plans may evolve over time as new challenges and opportunities arise. In collaboration with relevant stakeholders, the government of Georgia will continue to work towards achieving SDGs 13 and addressing climate change in the country. Thank you for your attention to all the speakers and listeners. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We enjoy having you here, and you're always giving us insight about Georgia. Thank you again. Please join tomorrow. Thank you.
You are welcome. Thank you.
Our next international speaker is Ambassador Katia Biblari.
Well, hello everyone. Greetings from Georgia. Thank you again for having me. And I'm happy that I am here every day. Today I'm going to talk about one of the most important topic, and I know that every topic is very important. And SDG 13 refers to climate action, which is one of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals established by the United Nations, and it aims to combat climate change and its impacts. And as for my country, in Georgia, the government and various organizations are actively working towards achieving SDG 13 by implementing measures to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, increase resilience to climate change, and promote sustainable practices. Here are some key initiatives and actions related to SDG 13 in Georgia. The first one that I want to talk about is National Climate Change Adaptation Plan, and it is that Georgia has developed a national climate change adaptation plan to enhance the country's resilience to climate change impacts. And the plan includes measures such as improving water resource management, promoting sustainable agriculture, and developing early warning systems for natural disasters. The second one that is also very important is renewable energy development, and Georgia is actively promoting the development of renewable energy sources to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. The country has significantly a hydropower potential and has investing in hydropower projects. Additional efforts are underway to increase the share of solar and wind energy in the energy mix. Next is climate change mitigation, and Georgia is committed to reducing greenhouse gas emissions and has set a target to reduce emissions by 15% by 2030 compared to 1990 levels. The government is implementing various measures, including energy efficiency programs, promoting energy saving practices, and supporting the use of clean and low carbon technologies. Next is forest conservation and reforestation, and it is also one of the most important topic. Forests play a crucial role in mitigation climate change by absorbing carbon dioxide. Georgia has implemented initiatives to protect and restore forests, including strict regulations and deforestation, and promoting afforestation and reforestation activities. Climate resilient infrastructure. Georgia is investing in climate resilient infrastructure projects to enhance its ability to withstand climate-related impacts. This includes infrastructure development in coastal areas, flood protection measures, and building climate-resilient transport systems. This is public awareness and education is very, very, very important, because public awareness and education campaigns are being conducted to raise awareness about climate change and the importance of sustainable practices. These campaigns aim to engage citizens, businesses, and communities in taking climate actions and adopting sustainable behaviors. It's important to note that the specific actions and progress related to SDG 13 in Georgia may evolve over time. Therefore, it is advisable to refer to the most recent reports and update from the Georgian government and relevant organizations for the latest information on SDG 13 implementation in the Georgia. So I'm pretty sure that we together will have the power to solve these problems. And the most important fact is to teach our inhabitants, the inhabitants of the world, that they have to take a lot of topics, a lot of things into consideration, and we are responsible. We have to shoulder a great responsibility to solve this problem. So now I have to say thank you for your attention and for listening to me. Thank you, Tina, for giving me this great opportunity.
Thank you so much. We are so grateful to have you here. And thank you for also inviting new people and having the confidence to continue to join us every day. Our next international speaker is going to be Tiana Nadiradze. Welcome.
Hello, I'm just listener today. My pupil Mary Bakhturidze is waiting for you, please.
Please introduce her and then we will click on her.
Mary Bakhturidze.
Welcome, Mariam.
Hello, I'm Mary Bakhturidze from Georgia. Tackling climate change is one of the goals of sustainable development and an important priority of the United Nations Development Program. That is why UNDP's Rapid Development Laboratory has chosen the study of issues related to climate change and the search for solutions as one of its leading areas of activity. Georgia experiences the consequences of climate change every day, and its impact of the country's economy and people's lives is disturbing. According to the UNDP research, the awarenesses of the population of Georgia regarding climate change is quite high. 97% of respondents have heard about climate change, and 91% believe that climate change is a real and dangerous process. The majority of respondents think that climate change is a more important challenge than international terrorism or armed conflicts. Climate change and environmental protection issues are of the utmost importance in Georgia, as evidenced by the recent events related to the construction of the Namajuan Hills, where many thousands of protests organized by environmentalists and are being held. According to the 2020 to 2030 energy strategy, Georgia has the opportunity to increase the share of renewable, for example, water, wind, or solar energy in the energy sector, which will lead to the reduction of the use of thermal power plants and accordingly the harmful impact on the environment. Along with the process, the energy independence of Georgia will also increase. In this process, the awareness of individual behavior of each person is of the utmost importance. We will need to realize that we are harming the environmental with our daily actions and adopt a climate-friendly lifestyle. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much for joining us. I know you're new to the platform and you're also a student. You're doing wonderful. Continue to have hope because you're doing great, and build the courage by coming to speak. We are so happy to have you here and I really appreciate this. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I want to touch base before we get into the other speakers about what climate action means to me. So here's a scientific way of understanding what's going on with the mindset of climate action. So your emotions and your thoughts are turning into tiny atoms that are floating out into the earth, that flow out into the universe. And what's happening is those tiny thoughts are turning into emotions of energy that reflect back onto the earth, and they are causing so many different things to happen, as in fires, tsunamis, floods, and so much climate action. This is a new discovery of a very atomical and small particle of your emotions and your thoughts that are projecting out into the air and the space and the environment around you, and others as well is also being projected, so microscopic that you cannot see it, and then it's going and it's floating up into the earth and it's floating out into the universe. Well, the universe is not liking it, so it's projecting back onto the earth, shocking the earth, putting the earth in a shock and shaking things up for us, because that's where so many reactions happen to the earth based on the emotions and thoughts of all of the human life that is going and projecting out into the universe. So it's like a reverse where the universe is spitting it back onto us, causing destruction and causing chaos. Once people are able to understand this, and this is the easiest way of a breakdown of explaining it, they have to learn how to control their thoughts and their emotions. If they're able to control their thoughts and emotions to project to more positivity, the light mass can flow through the universe and through the other planets and through the light spheres. And so when it comes back onto the earth, it will just be compatible of light, of energy, giving the earth more energy, renewing as a renewable energy for the earth, giving it more life, giving it more, basically a chance to survive longer. So this is why they talk about positive light mass and dark matter, and they say there's a balance, but they stay away from the negative dark matter of energy, because of the fact that the light sphere can go through any energy of force and it can survive. So that is why it's so important to have a positive mindset and a positive emotion of what's going on, even with hard times, even with difficult times, even with nervousness, of awareness, even when you feel uncomfortable. You just have to find a way to make yourself adapt and adjust to it. And when you adjust and adapt to this, that's why you hear a lot about mental health. What is mental health? Mental health is causing issues and crime all over our world, but it's also causing the #1 biggest reason we have climate change happening today, because people are not adjusting and adapting to the evolution of what's going on, because evolution happens every day, every year, every decade, every century. It's been going on, not just during this pandemic. So you have to adjust when you're not having a good day and when you're not in an environment that you may not want to be in. And inside of you is the universe of light mass, that production of the heart connected to the mind, connected to the spirit of God, this higher power, this creator. So it's really important that you're aware of what this is of an existence, but also tackling your battles each day, which is within yourself. Because as they say, we could be our own worst enemy. We could be targeting ourselves without even realizing what we're doing, by putting ourselves down, by being discouraged, by building anxieties that may not even be there. By adjusting to our mental health, we can overcome this issue of climate change. And this is going to keep happening unless this information spreads and the people get in contact with a true source of power within themselves, of faith, of hope, of knowing that they have this light sphere of mass, of energy inside of them to overcome all issues that they may go through. So for instance, if a person doesn't get a lot of sleep, or they don't get enough food, or they don't necessarily get the necessities they need to compose better emotions, it can deteriorate the body, but it doesn't deteriorate the spirit if the spirit is led by positivity, if the spirit is led with gratefulness and an intention of good. You know the basics, good versus evil. Well, there's no in between. You have to choose a side. You have to choose. And when you do that, it gives you more clarity, more divinity of power inside of you, which makes you tackle your goals quicker, which makes you tackle your emotions faster, which makes you understand your thoughts and your emotions connected into one. And when you do this, it gives you a stronger source of power. And you don't know how God, how a creator, higher path of creator is doing this for you. You just know it's a miraculous miracle that you have these giftings and you can go forward. Well, this is what I'm here to tell you. The key to opening up that divinity, that Trinity, is going to be to correct your faults, correct your mindset. When you feel that you're going into an emotion of anger, despair, anxiety, depression, you instantly have to get in survival mode with your thoughts and find a solution. And when you do that, you're triggering the neural paths. And when you're triggering them, you're sending wave shocks to the mind, to the membrane, and also from the heart. So it's going like a pitter patter back and forth, like ping pong. That's a good example. You know the game, you go back and forth, back and forth. Well, what you have to do is you have to adjust that understanding and just push yourself into the light pattern. Now it's a repetitive theory, which means you're doing it over and over and over and over again. And once you do this over and over and over again, you start to adapt naturally. You're growing in the source of the natural light mass of energy inside of you. Now, this is the solution right now to mental health issues, because we all have mental health. It's an existence. They don't explain that. We all have a mental health. We all have a physical health. But when you're explaining the depths of the illnesses behind mental health, it doesn't mean that you cannot tackle it to control it and to advise others on how to adjust their mindset and emotions. That is the point here. The point is we're here for this summit. We're giving information, but we're doing it with love and light. We're doing it with positivity, no judgment passed. We're not judging others, because then you're back into the negative dark matter, okay? Negative energy. It is all about awareness and spreading conserved energy. We're conserving our energy. We're using our time wisely. We're choosing and picking what to feed our spirit inside of us, our heart, and also elements of the mind. And when you do this, you're taking back your power, your source. A lot of people use the word source. There's so many believers of different things. The source is the power of God, of faith, of something higher than yourself that you feel that you cannot accept unless it's a path laid in front of you or laid in front of you. But you can accept it because it exists. And once you realize there's something else that exists out there, something higher than us, something that created us, something more powerful than our selfish needs or where we think we're controlling it, you give up into a sense of, you allow the spirit to move through you. You start to feel healthier. You start to wake up more knowledgeable, more aware when you go to a grocery store, more aware when you're in public. How do you know that's happening? And you can feel it inside of you, but no one has told you. Those are giftings inside of you. But again, it is turned on in a specific time of process in your life. You have to be ready for that process, and you may not be ready for that process, and that's where you're struggling with dark negative matter, which is basically negative energy. So it's a balance of some people are getting ill from mental health issues. Some people are causing chaos in their lives, in their environments. Some people are making others miserable because they don't know how to adjust to what is going on with them inside of them. So what they have to do is they have to realize that this actually does exist. You are not alone. There was others, and there are others to this day going through the same exact thing. And then you have to evaluate, do you want to get through this peacefully? Aren't you tired of putting up that struggle of ego and energy of just feeling like you have to take over your own self? Controlling your thoughts and emotions is also about humbling yourself enough to exist and adapt with others and the environment and the nature and a higher power source of faith, of God, of creator, of whatever you want to call that word, because so many cultures have different sense of mobility with that word, with that name. But I will tell you this, you are here as a purpose to fulfill, to to help the earth, to give it nutrients. Your energies all are combined to give it nutrients. And that's why we're having climate issues, because there's so many unbalanced emotions from so many different mindsets of so many different people that you're putting the earth into a shock wave. You are putting the earth into a shockwave because the humanity, the people, the human beings are not controlling or learning or educated enough to control their thoughts and their emotions. So once they control their thoughts and emotions, then you're starting to heal the earth, because you're shooting out positive energy of spheres out of energy, light mass, back out to the universe, back into the earth, out to the universe, and it's coming back, and it's ding, 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 ding. It's hitting the earth, healing the properties of our natural resources. And that is like an example: soil, growing, gardening, planting trees, the roots. How can these things produce when the energy has to be set a certain way? Naturally, these are natural resources that we didn't create. We can duplicate them to heal the earth, to heal the soil, to heal the plants, to heal the trees. But how are we duplicating ourselves to spread that energy? I'll tell you here. We're giving that knowledge for free. We're giving it away to the people. We're not charging the people to tell them this new discovery of the 21st century that scientists should have came out with. Yeah, they're talking about mental health. But what are they telling people to do? Go work out and do hobbies and eat correctly? Sure, that'll help you. But what else? What about the science behind it? What about the science behind climate action and climate change? Think about that. This is real in society every day, globally, worldwide. This has everything to do with every SDG, Sustainable Development Goals. How are we going to impact these goals if people aren't willing to survive correctly by completing the mission of purpose, of connecting to the light mass inside of them? Well, they have to be educated. It has to be something that comes out scientifically to be shown. And you can find this information. I have books out in Woke, All Advanced Technology, where I documented my spiritual awakening, where I show you dark matter of energy that I was struggling with, which was ego, and light mass production, which is the heart, because it's purified. But if you have both and there's that balance of an existence, sure, but the darkness cannot overtake the light. The light is going to keep picking at the darkness to shine. Just like when a moon sets and the sun comes out, what happens? The darkness flees. It's gone. The moon's gone, the darkness is gone, the sun is here. It's the same thing of energy production inside the human body. So this is Anatomy 101 for you guys of mental health and what is exactly going on with the climate. They're not telling you this because they're not even completely sure. Or if they are, it's not information to be disclosed. But it is now. And I'm going to tell you guys again, there are books on this. Mental Health Healing Prevention Fountain of Youth. Yes, I'm also giving brain exercises to keep you focused in a repetitive theory that you can heal yourself. There is physical exercises. Sure, you got to get outside and you got to do some physical exercises to keep the body, the flesh healthy. And sure, the spiritual connection of all these elements, the mind, the body, the spirit, the heart, it all is an importance for you to live longer. That's why it's so important for you to drink water and liquids. Why is this? Because most of our earth is created and made up of a mass of energy from the ocean. That's why we are made a certain way, as others will not describe, of spiritual beings. We're all we're beings of life. We're beings of something that was sent here or created here or established here to bring more life to populate this earth. That's what we were here for. That's what we're here to do. Now, as far as in overpopulating it, it's about what the people are doing with their resources. What are they doing to make things better for other people's lives? Are you including other people? You know, I like how Professor Nada Rakovic, she's showing you the layout of how she created something with her students, with her community. If we were to follow these summits and, you know, it's not just about hearing the data analysis, it's about to see what can we implement off of other people that are already aware, that are already awakened, that are already connected to the source, to this light massive production inside of them. How can we adjust ourselves to adapt the way they did, because they're going to survive? It's survival of the fittest. We all want to survive here. I want to live long. I know a lot of people do here. And you have to get your priorities straight. If you feel that you are in a mental health state that you do not want to live long, you need to find out why. And then you need to adjust why and go further in your life, because somebody is out there waiting for you to love them. Somebody exists out there and they're waiting for you to be an advocate for them and stand up for them. Somebody needs you, and that's why you have to live. You have to change your mindset into positive energy. It could be me, it could be the people on these calls, but we need you. We need you because of the energy you produce and that you are putting out into this earth that is reflecting the climate. The climate needs you. The climate needs us, all of our energy. If we weren't here, there would not be much life still on earth, because our energy is here as a source to feed the earth, natural resource of energy. And the work we do for the climate is very important. Planting trees, gardening, greenhouses, solar energy, all the ways that we have educated ourselves as human beings to learn over time how to make this world a better place is needed now. It's needed to fix whatever issues happened and what things were caused by the human race. Not all humans are the same. There are still people that are good people in this world, but you have to decide who you are and where you belong in this process. And if you're on another wave path and it's dark, negative matter, it's a bunch of chaos, because what you give is what you get. Now, I have another international speaker. Her name is Danelle Boyles from the United States. Welcome her, please.
Wow, Tiana. How do I follow up on that? Seriously, that was impactful and powerful. I actually had my file, my original one that I had typed out. My iPad glitched out and it disappeared, so I just threw something else together. But I think it probably is a little bit better than what I originally had. First of all, I'm Danelle Boyles. I'm an educator, artist, writer, and metaphysical practitioner. And thank you for having me today, and welcome to everybody that is participating in SDG 13 concerning climate action. I had multiple ideas whenever I first read climate action. And whenever you first read it, you probably had multiple ideas too. You kind of bounce around between the idea of the word action means to do, and it makes you also think of control. So whenever you're wanting to move into the control aspect of climate action, you have to take control over not only what you are doing, but how you are implementing it, how you are expressing it to others, how you are, what you are doing in order to impress upon making the difference in making others aware of how climate action needs to take place as well. When I think of climate action, I think of the things that I and we can do to help bring our overall planetary wellness into alignment by taking action to help our environment, our mindfulness, and those around us. The way we go about doing this is bringing ourselves into awareness of all the things that we are creating in a negative environment to begin with. This requires a pathway of thinking that allows yourself to see where one needs to improve. We all think that we're doing so well, but there is always so much room for improvement every single day. So this can be on any topic that we have covered so far, because they all are involved. But mostly it's putting yourself in a place of discovering the solutions of how to achieve them with mindfulness. It starts with making the right choices universally as individuals, choosing to do the right thing consciously. Climate action is the act of doing and being in the right mindset of consciously daily making your choices of where you want to envision putting our pathway universally and collectively, planetarily, however you want to look at it, on the right path of action choices. So whenever you're doing this, the climate action is always the act of doing. Necessary actions is showing. I'm sorry, I'm still struggling with a lot of throat issues right now. And I hate it because it very much interferes with how I want to express what I have to say. How you're using your resources to create this action and the action of doing, and how we cannot have results without the doing part. Every day, these actions have to take place in order to uphold solutions and to hold them permanently. It's an everyday choice of where you want to envision your action leading to the permanent result of what you want to see at the end. Putting our actions into the results, then others will follow. The more example that you lead by doing and showing, the more people will join. The more you show how it is, how it's improving environment, how it's improving mindset, making your environment cleaner, making your choices cleaner. It's all a process, and it does have to start small. If you jump right into the largest fraction of what you want to do, it almost always brings imminent failure, because you're trying to take big, huge leaps instead of starting small within yourself and then slowly expanding out and expressing to others what needs to happen consciously when you're making these choices, and seeing how it affects you biologically, and then seeing how it affects everything universally and environmentally. It's all interrelated. So basically, it takes a shift of consciousness. That's what it boils down to. And it's happening. It's coming. There are more that are becoming aware of this shift of consciousness that is, it is required to be able to step into the full mindset of mindfulness. But it has to start within. And it does have to do with a lot of being a proactive consumer. It has a lot to do with all of the other SDG topics that we're talking about. But first and foremost, before that, climate action is about your individual action as a human being. So. Thank you. Thank you for putting this together, Tiana. It's I think with all of this, the speaking, the facts, opinions, experience, all of it together will make a huge shift.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. So now we are coming to the end of our summit, and I wanted to know if anyone else would like to say anything, because we do have a lot of listeners here. I do have someone here, but I don't know if she's going to speak or not. She said she's not going to speak, but I want to know, are you going to speak? Couple words? Okay.
I'll be more than happy to do so. Thank you so much, Ms. Jones. I wasn't going to, but because the entire members that you have here, they were so wonderful, and I was just speechless, in other words. But Ms. Boyles has pretty much summed it up when it comes to mental health. Mental health does matter more than anything in this world, because if you are not mentally stable, the earth will not sustain. You are the one who's taking care of this earth. So you have to be the one who has to be the healthy one. And I am an advocate for mental health. It's you have to always reach out. I see sometimes where people are on the street and they do have mental health issues, and no one dare to reach out and say, hey, are you okay? Even though they know that mentally they're not quite there. We should always reach out and help that other person, make that effort to, even if it's just one person at a time, but it is going to make a change, because by the time we are all gathered and doing the things to assist with mental health, we will be so strong globally. Our earth will sustain, it will get healthier, and we will have beauty and flowers we probably we don't see anymore. They will spring up and we will see them again. So thank you so much, Ms. Boyles, Ms. Jones, and everyone on this meeting. I really, really enjoyed it. You guys are wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And so we are getting ready to end. So I will wrap this up saying this. We are the people, and we all are united, nation to nation, and we are the ones to change the world within ourselves and within our climate. We now, as one, unified, take action. And I pledge from the United States of America that we will get this done forever and for our generations to come. Thank you, and until next time, God bless and take care.